將你部冷氣熄一陣，唞一唞佢先。你怕熱嘅就出去廳涼，好冇？你出廳瞓啦，你出廳玩啦。啊，我煮飯啊，你出廳玩啦。
唔使。
熄咗把冷氣先，夜晚先開，夜晚調翻轉好冇？因為要唞一唞部冷氣 ，OK？ 好冇？你出去玩啦，出去廳嗰度瞓啦。聽到啊？出去我張床度瞓啊！
唔使。
你有咩睇啊？我叫你出去啊！出街吧！我即刻出街。
唔理。
快啲啊！噴一噴嘢啊入去！你襯唔襯啊？好得。你哋出廳啦，你去唔係？你去我張床度瞓啦，我整餸啊！今晚係咪肚餓啊？煮甜乜啊？係嘛？呢隻咁，你係咪想砸斷晒我張床啊？你係咪黐線㗎？
打暈。
做咩你？你唔好再咁樣砸落去咯！一間啪一聲斷咗咧，我打爆你個頭啊！咁砸爛我塊磚點算啊？得啦，等佢砸。今晚啲嘢等佢哋。你好爽喎！哇！你瞓呢邊啊，嗰邊啊出瞓開㗎，污糟邋遢。哇！頭擺翻好晒佢啊！
先挂了一个情侣。
你挨呢邊啊，冇挨嗰邊啊！收埋你肚腩啊，肉酸到死！一巴聲冚。聽朝咧肚餓咧，我蒸叉燒包仔俾你食，細細個嗰啲叉燒包。你做下先嚟呢啲咩啊？
出邊有兩隻一樣嘅。
係啊，即係如果烏水水咧，烏燈燈啊。
烏冬冬，烏冬冬呀，烏冬冬，
烏冬冬，
烏冬冬，
一隻叫烏水水啊。
烏水水。
烏小小。
要過嚟啊！我過嚟。
點啊？出出。得啦，倒晒未？倒晒咁咗佢。
嗯。
出出。
哦。啊？係又出嚟唔食啊！烏冬冬又唔食，食完嘢食少少，跟住又出嚟食話。
喂，拍咩衫啊？烏冬話曬啦，你關住咗上個床啦。有啲食緊嘢啊，佢又唔食佢自己啲嘢啊。過嚟。咁我攞啲保鮮紙掹住佢，啊攞個保鮮紙出嚟啊！我話咗你啊，我教你點樣掹個紙啊！
多謝啦。
我同你講啊，你唔好同我扯爛個口佢啊！嗱，你睇到我呢度有少少咁樣掹出嚟就得啦，然之後咁樣掹下，你唔好再拉爛我個口啊！唔好再扯爛呢度佢啊！ 咁樣就已經得㗎啦，你知唔知啊？
識唔識望啊？
識唔識芒？我100%啊！批死你都有份整㗎啦嗰度，上次都係你咁樣扯爛㗎。
好正啊！哎，我都这样是这些，我都这样是这。唔係啊！你見到佢哋食嘢啊！ 勁到啊！哇！食晒仲未食晒啊？烏豬豬仲未食晒。哦。
阿仔，你坐緊喺個廳度，你幫我看住碟肉餅，唔好俾啲貓行過嚟搞啊！上台啊，知唔知？嚇！因為我要切菜啊。 好煮法。你試過咁大個啦？唔係靜靜雞喺嗰張床度屙屁啊！ 同我出街瞓。做乜踩我啲嘢啊？喂，死啊！行埋開啊！一花就死。喂，做咩會跌咗落嚟㗎？
呢番係麻煩友嚟嘅。
天係幾重？嚟，我出街瞓。喂，攞翻咁啊，衰老豆嗰條褲同埋嗰啲個抌過嚟。等你嗰啲。咁喺呢度啊，係啊，喂，妖嗱媽，你個死仆街！你同我死開啊！
出街瞓，出街瞓，出街瞓，出街瞓。
出啦！即刻出！
喂，真係
你我出街瞓。
唔係。
搞咩啊？哦。
How do you know if your Airbnb or hotel room has a hidden camera? You can use the Peek app. This app scans the entire room and detects cameras connected to the Wi-Fi network. When it finds a suspicious camera, you can connect it to the camera, access the live feed, and locate it. Download the app and give it a try.
This adorable chameleon is super shy. Every time the girl looks at him, he tries to hide. She adopted him when he was just a tiny baby, and since then, he loves climbing on her face and even helps with her hair. He uses his long tongue to catch bugs. And don't worry, the girl makes sure he always gets delicious meals. But one day, he accidentally hit her nose with his tongue. She got mad at first, until he discovered there was dust on her nose, and then something shocking happened. However, if you think this puppy is cute, like and subscribe. And millions of people cried after seeing this abandoned and starving puppy. Not a single person helped him because of disgust. If you are a good person, give a heart and a sad emoji in the comments, and share this video with all your friends. Then, 1 million angels will pray pray for your entire family. Turns out the chameleon was just trying to clean her face. As he grew up, he became her little stylist, always helping her with her hair like a true best friend. This adorable chameleon is super shy. Every time the girl looks at him, he tries to hide. She adopted him when he was just a tiny baby, and since then, he loves climbing on her face and even helps with her hair. He uses his long tongue to catch bugs. And don't worry, the girl makes sure he always gets delicious meals. But one day, he accidentally hit her nose with his tongue. She got mad at first, until he discovered there was dust on her nose, and then something shocking happened. However, if you think this puppy is cute, like and subscribe. And millions of people cried after seeing this abandoned and starving puppy. Not a single person helped him because of disgust. If you are a good person, give a heart and a sad emoji in the comments, and share this video with all your friends. Then, 1 million angels will pray for your entire family. Turns out the chameleon was just trying to clean her face. As he grew up, he became her little stylist, always helping her with her hair like a true best friend. This adorable chameleon is super shy. Every time the girl
Put a finger down if your parents.
This man extends his hand to people he sees on the road. If one person shakes...
Ow! Can you move 3 matches to get the rabbit into the house? The first obvious solution is to build an upside-down house. As you can see, after moving 3 matches, although the rabbit enters the house is not complete. Of course, you can try to move other matches. You can change the direction of the house, but you can't move the rabbit. When we moved the other 3 matches, the house was intact, but the rabbit did not enter the house. So what's the solution? We have 2 matches that cannot be moved, and if the 2 matches are not next to each other, then the house will be incomplete. So the 2 fixed matches must be next to each other, and we have kept the 2 matches that form 60 degrees, and the matches that form 90 degrees, but neither is the solution. So we need to keep the 2 matches at 150 degrees. We need to move the first match here, and the second one here. Finally, close the roof of the house, and the rabbit enters the house. Do you like this puzzle? Can you...
3 things in Korea that just make sense. First, when you visit an Apple store in Korea, you'll notice that iPhones and other devices aren't attached to any security wires. That's because theft is extremely rare. The phones are just sitting freely on stands so you can test them with ease. Second, if you keep all your grocery or shopping receipts, you can actually claim your tax back when leaving Korea. Just scan them at the little kiosks in the airport before departure and get your money back. Lastly, if a bus is full and more people need to sit, there are extra fold-out chairs hidden inside the regular seats. People can pull them out and sit instead of standing the whole way. And yeah, don't wait for Koreans to offer their seats. They are not that nice. 3 things in Korea that just make sense. First, when you visit an Apple store in Korea, you'll notice that iPhones and other devices aren't attached to any security wires. That's because theft is extremely rare. The phones are just sitting freely on stands so you can test them with ease. Second, if you keep all your grocery or shopping receipts, you can actually claim your tax back when leaving Korea. Just scan them at the little kiosks in the airport before departure and get your money back. Lastly, if a bus is full and more people need to sit, there are extra fold-out chairs hidden inside the regular seats. People can pull them out and sit instead of standing the whole way. And yeah, don't wait for Koreans to offer their...
Look, this person is gonna prank...
It's for the way you look at me. Oh, it's for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. Even more less.
Look, this person is gonna prank the shopkeeper. First of all, he cuts a small...
It's a game where you start with this little bar and you build it into a...
This boy is watching a video where someone shows that bursting balloons filled with Coke, Sprite, and Fanta inside a bowl full of Mentos creates a huge foam explosion. But he didn't believe it and wanted to try it himself. After filling the balloons one by one with Sprite, Coca-Cola, and Fanta, he places them inside the bowl full of Mentos. Will there really be a huge foam explosion when the balloons pop? But before that, if you love your parents, prove it by liking the video, then pressing subscribe, then pressing share, and when you press the option at the top, something amazing will happen. A huge foam explosion happened. This boy is watching a video where someone shows that bursting balloons filled with Coke, Sprite, and Fanta inside a bowl full of Mentos creates a huge foam explosion. But he didn't believe it and wanted to try it himself. After filling the balloons one by one with Sprite, Coca-Cola, and Fanta, he places them inside the bowl full of Mentos. Will there really be a huge foam foam explosion when the balloons pop. But before that, if you love your parents, prove it by liking the video, then pressing subscribe, then pressing share.
M is for the way you look at me. O is for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. Even more.
Essendon instant. E.
The doctor placed a suction tube in his mouth and asked him to stay in his seat, but the man starts to get a bit suspicious about what is.
This is my voice in English. Questa è la mia voce in italiano.
1+1 app 慳電神器 Get
出咗去睇場戲啫，點解屋企突然用咗咁多電嘅？
一開充電 app， 屋企用電量日日都睇到。
仲記得細個嘅時候，百貨公司同埋超市對於仲係小學生嘅我嚟講，係充滿週末嘅儀式感，充滿同屋企人嘅回憶。去到今日，呢啲熟悉嘅店鋪一間又一間咁消失，連門面都被洗去，只剩低記憶嘅投影藏喺腦海深處。今集一個人 TV 就嚟重溫返當年曾經風魔一時，但係而家已經消失咗嘅百貨公司同超市，再次回到昔日嘅美好時光。
你依家收睇嘅係一個人 TV， 一個用廣東話介紹真實嘅中國歷史文化嘅 channel。如果你中意睇我哋嘅內容，又想支持一下我哋，記得訂閱我哋嘅 channel， 同埋加入成為我哋嘅會員啦。
大丸百貨，我諗在座嘅90後、00後，可能未必知道大丸百貨。不過，或者你其實已經喺 Twins 嘅下一站天后聽過呢個名。
站在大院前，細心看看我的路。
大丸百貨係香港歷史上第一間日資百貨公司，喺1960年11月3日開業，位於銅鑼灣記利佐治街同埋百德新街交界。當時係由日本大丸同埋香港商人張玉麟同埋銅鑼灣大地主李秉澤合資開辦。開業初期，大丸引進日本百貨公司嘅經營理念，以親切有禮嘅態度服務顧客。每日開門嘅時候，店員會企喺兩邊鞠躬歡迎顧客，亦設有不議價制度，即係明碼實價、分期付款、禮券制度、免費送貨等等服務，吸引咗大量嘅市民光顧。店內有60%嘅貨品為日本製造，仲有和服小姐為顧客化妝，成為當時港人購物嘅新體驗。開業第二日已經接近有10萬人入場購物。喺1983年，大丸更加喺鄰近嘅京士頓街擴展業務，開設咗超級市場同埋家居用品部。但係隨住90年代日本經濟不景同埋亞洲金融風暴嘅衝擊，大丸開始面對經營嘅困難。喺1998年6月25日宣布結束香港所有業務，同年12月31日正式結業。雖然大丸已經成為咗我哋嘅歷史，大丸有落呢句説話仍然係香港人嘅集體記憶。至今部分小巴路線仍然以大丸作為落車嘅站名。800伴，大丸百貨當年廣受歡迎，成功經驗亦帶動咗多間日資嘅百貨進駐香港，而800伴就係其中之一。800伴最初於1930年由農民出身嘅和田良平同埋佢妻子和田家津喺靜岡縣熱海市創立，名為800伴商店。而聽講和田家津正係日劇《阿信的故事》嘅原型之一，而800伴商店其後由兒子和田一夫繼承家業。 經營40年，成功將一間水果店發展成國際零售集團，全球擁有約400間百貨公司同超市，僱用近萬人。喺1984年，八佰伴進軍香港。
佢每次嚟親呢處都唔願走嘅。
李生你睇，做咩買咁多嘢嘅？
大減價啊嘛，我老婆一定會執輸嘅。
10年，八佰伴陪伴你每一天。
第一間店鋪設於沙田，一開業就引起咗熱潮，萬人空巷。其後分店陸續開設，全盛時期喺香港有10間分店。90年代，和田一夫更加將公司總部搬咗嚟香港，並大肆擴張，開咗唔同類型嘅商店，其中就包括咗聖安娜餅屋、歡樂天地同埋大滿貫快餐店等等。之後更加將總部遷至上海，計劃於2000年之前喺中國開設1000至1500間超市以及3000間以上嘅快餐店，但係由於過度擴張加上內部問題，最終喺1997年宣布全球結業。90年代中期係八佰伴嘅黃金歲月，喺沙田、馬鞍山、荃灣、屯門、元朗、紅磡每個地區都有佢嘅身影。當時星期6日放假，屋企人就會揸車去沙田新城市廣場行八佰伴。我印象最深刻嘅就係製作紅豆餅嘅機器，望住佢一個一個燒餅咁烤出嚟，真係百看不厭。吉之島八佰伴結業之後，喺2000年由日本永旺集團收購，亦即係吉之島嘅母公司。部分原本屬於八佰伴嘅鋪頭都變咗吉之島。大家對於吉之島又有咩回憶？可能係去美食廣場入邊嘅日式拉麵，定係太古康怡吉之島嘅小丑鐘？我自己就住喺大埔，最記得大埔中心就有一間吉之島。細個經常入去睇玩具，我人生第一部遊戲機 Dreamcast 就係喺吉之島度買返嚟，當時賣799。屋企人就鍾意去2樓嘅超市買餸。個超市雖然唔係最平，但係就有好多外國貨品，尤其係日本嘢，就好似係日本水果同埋波子汽水等等。不過吉之島嘅生意越嚟越差，後期全部改名做 Eon。Boost
your mobile game's revenue with rewarded ads. Unlike regular ads, rewarded ads are a part of the game. They're non-intrusive, valuable to players, and rewatchable, which increases app revenue. Visit admob.com/games.
生意越嚟越差，後期全部改名做 Eon。
Manchester 進化為 Eon 而升華，全新 Eon，你的喜悅，我們的追求。
店鋪規模亦細咗好多，大埔嗰間吉之島今日已經變咗一田百貨啦。家樂福，法國品牌家樂福喺90年代進駐香港，一度成為咗本地最大型嘅超市。佢主打又大又平，貨品選擇多，對比起本地超市，真係有揾到寶嘅感覺。當時家樂福喺屯門市廣場、荃灣灣景廣場、元朗新元朗中心同埋杏花村都有分店。不過一山不能藏二虎，尤其當時超市界已經有百佳同埋惠康兩大巨頭。家樂福曾經向傳媒指控兩大超市向供應商施壓，唔可以供貨俾佢。加上香港嘅租金昂貴，最終喺2000年9月18日全線撤出，遣散咗490名員工，結束咗香港嘅業務。我記得有一排百佳好高調咁樣開張超級巨型嘅超市，其中以黃埔間百佳最誇張，入面超高樓底。依家諗翻起，呢啲應該就係用嚟對抗家樂福嘅策略嚟㗎啦。我對家樂福最深刻嘅印象就係佢嘅大型扶手電梯，因為佢係少數有多層設計嘅超市，而嗰啲扶手電梯可以推住架購物車上落，喺當時嚟講算得上係幾新鮮嘅事物。雖然家樂福已經唔喺度，但係佢嗰啲扶手電梯喺某啲鋪頭仍然保留緊。唔知你有冇搭過呢？ Grand Mart， 唔知你有冇聽過 Grand Mart？ 佢其實係香港最早期出現嘅美式超市。90年代曾經喺沙田廣場、上水中心、荃灣城市中心二期開過幾間分店。佢主打大包裝、大容量嘅商品，例如一桶桶巨型嘅洗衣粉、大 pack 裝嘅杯麵等等。每次入到去都有一種置身於外國超市嘅錯覺。不過香港地少人多，屋企細，大家都唔會買幾十磅嘅洗衣粉返屋企擺。結果 Grand Mart 喺經營咗幾年之後就靜悄悄咁樣收埋咗。而家睇返轉頭， Grand Mart 可能係走得太前。而家啲香港人不想消費去行山姆大叔， 其實就係當年 Grandmaster 嘅翻版。大昌食品，大昌食品市場係大昌行集團旗下嘅零售品牌，最早可以追溯至1979年，當時叫大昌行員工特賣中心，主打急凍食品優惠。喺1985年喺香港開設大昌貿易行食品肉類海鮮特價市場。
Hexomino Facts When. Amazing video. I wish the... It seems like a lot of you want the sequel. And you know what? Who am I to deny that? So to answer your question, yes. And that time is now. Hexomino Facts. Here are some disclaimers. Okay, go. First off, what is a hexomino? Well, this is a pentomino. A hexomino is a pentomino with one additional cell added to it. 6 cells instead of 5. Diagonals are still not allowed. While there are only 12 pentominos, there are a grand total of 35 hexominos, which is more than the number of letters in the alphabet. Such as yon technical would be, that is to say, though I did. Let's begin. Part 1. Symmetry. 20 out of the 35 hexominos have no symmetry. Unlike the pentominos, this is over half of them. 6 of the 35 hexominos have one axis of symmetry. They are the seesaw, the bracket, top hat, long T, the cross, and the heart. 2 of the 35 hexominos have one axis of symmetry but diagonal, and those are alpha and fighter jet. 2 of the hexominos have 2 axes of symmetry, being long I and the box. A total of 7 hexominos have rotational symmetry, all of which are 180-degree rotational symmetry. This includes both hexominos with 2 axes of symmetry, then the integral, $, double N, the hurricane, and the staircase. Just like last time, here's a Venn diagram of symmetry. Any hexominos that are not on here contain no symmetry whatsoever. So sad. Part 2. Tiling. All 35 hexominos can tile the plane, and all 35 can do it in an infinite number of ways. I am going to show you exactly how for all of them in increasing levels of difficulty. Obviously, long I and the box are rectangles, so they instantly have an infinite number of tilings. 6 more of the hexominos can have 2 or more copies joined together to form rectangles, being long L, long P, fighter jet, polar bear, uneven U, and top hat. Just like with the pentominos, if you can create infinitely long straight lines with hexominos, then you can shift each row around however much you want, which creates infinite tilings. The majority of hexominos fall into this category. Hurricane, long Y, seesaw, long N, and double N can all create infinite rows that are 2 cells tall. Staircase, bracket, pointer, delta, and heart can all create infinite rows that are 3 cells tall. Square root, 1, 3, low 4, and golf club can all create infinite rows that are 4 cells tall. And finally, long F can create infinite rows that are 6 cells tall. The next category is a little bit strange. Let's take the alpha hexomino. While you can't create an infinite straight line with it, you can create these infinitely long rows. With these rows, the top part does line up with the bottom part, so you can connect an infinite number of these rows together. You'd think that this would lead to an infinite number of solutions, right? Well, no, because if you take every row and move it over so it fits again, it's still exactly the same, and everything lines up. What you need to do is have a different arrangement of the same hexomino and line them up. This is row 1, and this is row 2, and then you can mix and match the rows infinitely. 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, etc., etc. The alpha does this, but also the cross, the duck, uneven T, high 4, and the dollar. Moving on to even more complicated tilings, the integral and big L cannot create 2 separate horizontal lines, but they can create 2 separate one-to-one diagonal lines that perfectly connect together, meaning you can mix and match to your heart's content. Then, these final 3 hexominos are the most difficult of them all. 7 creates 2 separate 1-to-2 diagonal rows that can be mixed and matched. This can be a little bit hard to comprehend, but if you look here, you can see both of the separate rows overlaid on top of each other. The hook can create two separate 2 to 2 diagonal rows that can be mixed and matched. Once again, this is a little bit hard to visually comprehend, so here are both of them overlaid on top of each other. Finally, long T, which creates two separate 3 to 3 diagonal rows that can be mixed and matched. This one is a lot easier to conceptualize, but I'll still show you the version with both overlaid for peace of mind. So yeah, all 35 hexagonals tile the plane in an infinite number of ways. Part 3. Other tilings. Firstly, I slightly lied in the last one. I said that only 6 of the hexagonals can be joined together to form a rectangle, when in actuality 8 of them can. The only issue is the other 2 are a little bit more complicated. But anyways, moving on, with 35 hexagonals and 6 cells per hexagonal, that leaves a grand total of 210 cells. 210 is a pretty composite number and can form 8 different sizes of rectangles. Can you create different rectangles with all 35 hexagonals? Unfortunately, the answer is no, it is not possible, but this can be proved pretty easily with parity. Let's take a smaller board, for example, 30 cells. With 30 cells, you can make a handful of different configurations, but in every single one, when you checkerboard it, there's an identical number of black and white cells. This is true for every single even-sized board. There will always be an equal number of black and white cells when you checkerboard it. When you place hexagonals over these cells, there are 2 options for what happens. Option 1, it covers 3 cells of one color and 3 cells of another color. Option 2, it covers 4 cells of one color and 2 cells of another color. Between these 2 options, most hexagonals fall into category 1, where no matter where you place them on a checkerboard, they'll cover 3 black cells and 3 white cells. These 24 fall into that group. That leaves 11 hexagonals remaining, which are all the 4-2 pattern. Since the final board needs to have an equal number of black and white cells covered, that means that when you have one of these 11 hexagonals covering 4 white cells and 2 black cells, you need to have another one basically paired up with that one covering 2 black cells and 4 white cells, so that together they combine to cover 6 cells of each color, effectively cancelling each other out. However, with 11 hexagonals in this category, you can only pair up 10 of them into 5 groups, leaving one lone one, which will always have to cover up either 2 black and 4 white, or 4 black and 2 white. This means that one type of cell will always have to have 2 more than the other type, effectively making it completely impossible to use all 35 hexagonals to create a rectangle. So sad. Part 4. All 210 cells. I'm going to take this category in a slightly different direction than I did in Pentomino Facts. I've colored all 210 cells of the 35 hexagonals into 4 different categories. Red cells connect to exactly one other cell in that hexagonal. Yellow cells connect to exactly 2 other cells. Green cells connect to exactly 3 other cells, and cyan cells connect to exactly 4. This comes with several categories of hexagonals. These 13 all contain exactly 2 red cells and 4 yellow cells. They're basically all hexagonal snakes, as none of them have any branching paths. Another 12 of the hexagonals have 3 red cells, 2 yellow cells, and 1 green cell. These are the hexagonals that are almost a snake, but have one cell that branches outwards. For 5 of these 12 hexagonals, that branching green cell is directly in the middle, which means the other 2 yellow cells do not border each other. For the other 7, the branching cell connects to 2 red cells, which means both of the yellow cells do border each other. 4 of the hexagonals contain an even split of red, yellow, and green cells, and all 4 of these hexagonals contain exactly 2 instances of the P pentomino. The pointer and top hat both have their pairs of yellow cells and green cells connected to each other, while the fighter jet and the hurricane have both of theirs in the checkerboard pattern. Then we have category 4, which is only long P and the delta, both of which are 1 red, 1 green, and 4 yellow cells. And finally, category 5, or I guess categories 5 through 8, the lone exceptions. We have cross with 1 red, 1 cyan, and 1 yellow. The alpha with 2 red, 3 yellow, and 1 cyan. And finally, the 2 that are maybe the most interesting. The box contains 4 yellow cells and 2 green cells and is the only hexamino without any red cells. Then, finally, the dollar sign contains 4 red cells and 2 green cells and is the one hexamino without any yellow cells. Part 5. Chemical formulas. So, in Pentomino Facts, I discussed which tetrominoes are contained in the pentominoes. This time, I'm going to discuss which of the pentominoes are contained in the hexaminoes, except I'm doing it with a little bit of a twist. Basically, what this is take any hexamino. Take all 6 instances of a cell being removed from that hexamino. Discard whichever instances cause the cells to be split apart. Then, for the remaining ones, take the names of all of these pentominoes, alphabetize them, and then group up duplicates. And there you have your pentomino chemical formula. Every single hexamino has a unique chemical formula, except for the bracket and the integral, which both form L2. Which is kind of cool that there's one exception, but also sucks because this is so close to being a valid naming system for the hexaminos. But that's fine because they get to have more interesting names like bracket and integral instead. Anyways, here's the chemical formulas for all of them. 13 of them contain 2 pentominoes, i.e. the same 13 that only had 2 red cells in the last part. For 5 of these, it's the same pentomino duplicated twice. For the other 8, it's 2 different pentominoes. 12 of them contain 3 pentominoes. Once again, it's just the same as the 3 red, 2 yellow, 1 green group. 3 of these 12 contain 2 instances of the same pentomino and one of another, aka the only symmetrical ones in this group, where the other 9 contain 3 different pentominoes. 8 of the hexamonos contain 4 pentominoes within them. Only 2 of those 8 contain 4 entirely different pentominoes, being the delta and long P, paired up once again. 3 of them contain 3 different pentominoes, with 1 pair being doubled up, including fighter jet, pointer, and the cross. The last 3 have 2 pentominoes doubled up, being hurricane, the dollar, and top hat. Then, the alpha is the only one that contains 5 pentominoes, with the F and the P doubled up, alongside a single X. And finally, box contains 6 pentominoes, a whole 4 instances of the P pentomino, and 2 U's. I'm gonna speed through this next part real quick because otherwise it would take ages, so pause if you want to see everything individually. The X pentomino is in the least number of hexamonos, at only 2, followed by the I pentomino, which is only in 4. 2 pentominoes are only in 5 hexamonos, being the W and the Z. 3 pentominoes are in 6 hexamonos, being the T, the U, and the V. Jumping up, the P pentomino is in 8 hexamonos, most of them multiple times. The F pentomino is in 9 hexamonos. The N and the Y pentominoes are both in 10 hexamonos, and the L pentomino is in the most hexamonos at 11. Despite being in the most pentominoes, the L pentomino is not the most represented overall, because in most cases, hexamonos with a P pentomino contain 2 P pentominoes, which means P shows up the most distinct times in the hexamonos, at a grand total of 16 times. Part 6. Drawing lines through the hexamonos. Out of the 35 hexamonos, only 8 of them can have a line drawn through them perfectly, with wiggle room on both ends. They are long I, long L, staircase, 3, integral, golf club, double N, and long N. 6 of the hexamonos can have a line, but it must pass through a specific point. They are delta, duck, long P, long Y, hurricane, and 7. Low 4, fighter jet, alpha, square root, and dollar sign are all locked to 2 or 3 points, which makes only 1 line possible. Then, bracket, seesaw, top hat, hook, and polar bear are also locked to a single line, except the line exclusively passes through the edges of cells. Finally, these 10 hexamonos cannot have a line pass through all of their cells. For 6 of them, this is obviously because they contain the T pentomino, which, as we learned in pentomino facts, T was the only pentomino where a line passing through it was impossible, so obviously any hexamono that contains it is also impossible. However, there are also 4 more hexamonos that are impossible that do not contain a T pentomino. Those 4 are uneven U, big L, long F, and heart. Alright, so we've covered all the facts that were in pentomino facts now, with the exception of pathfinding. So, it should be time for hexamono pathfinding, right? Well, unfortunately no, because I in fact already covered that in my more pentomino pathfinding video. So, if you do want to see what the hexamono pathfinding solutions look like, go watch that video. However, to compensate for not doing that in this video, I have 2 new sections that should be fun. Part 7. Hexamono rooms. For this part, I will be imagining each hexamono as a room, and the goal is to place a light in the room so that the entire room is illuminated. I.e., which parts of the hexamono can you place a point in so that every single other part of that hexamono can draw a direct line to that point, without going outside of the borders of the hexamono. In the majority of hexamonos, this is possible. You can put a point somewhere within that hexamono so that every part of the hexamono can connect directly to it. In long I and the box, you can put it anywhere since they're rectangles. Duh. Both top hat and long P have 2 cells where you can place the light anywhere in that cell, and everywhere in that hexamono can connect to it. A lot of hexamonos have exactly 1 cell in which it'll work, 10 in total. Long L, seesaw, fighter jet, pointer, alpha, big L, cross, uneven T, long T, and long Y. Every other hexamono needs it to be placed in more specific places in order to still illuminate the entire hexamono room. A handful of the hexamonos can have the light placed on any point in a straight line. They are hurricane, whose line passes through 2 edges, then delta, long F, high 4, low 4, double N, dollar sign, and long N, which can all be placed on 1 edge. Then, 2 of the hexamonos are restricted to having the light be placed in a very specific point, being duck and golf club, both of which require it to be right on a corner bordering 3 cells. The remaining 11 hexamonos unfortunately cannot have a light placed in them anywhere in order to illuminate the entire hexamono. However, we can optimize these hexamonos in order to find the point within the hexamono to maximize the amount of places within that hexamono that can connect to that light. Of the remaining 11 hexamonos, 8 of them can be optimized to place a light so that it can connect to a maximum of 5.5 cells. For polar bear, heart, and the staircase, you can put this point anywhere on this line and it will connect to 5 cells and half of another cell. For instance, if you put it directly on the edge of either side of this line, then you can cut off a nice clean half cell on the other end. But if you put it in the middle of the line, it cuts off 2 equal quarters from both of these cells. Then, in the 7 hexomino, you can place it in 2 separate points, and either of these points cuts off half of a different cell. 3, uneven U, square root, and 1 all require it to be in a very specific point in a very specific corner so that it cuts off exactly half of a cell. 3 hexominos remain, and all 3 of them can have it placed in a specific point so that 5 and 1/4 cell are illuminated. Integral and bracket can have the light placed in either of these 2 points, and it will cut off 3/4 of a cell. And finally, the most constrained of them all, hook, which requires the light to be placed in this specific spot, which cuts off half a cell here, and then another 1/4 of a cell here. Woo! Part 8. Cubes. With 6 cells, we can now make cubes with the hexominos. We can also make a lot of other weird shapes too. But first, let's just... That's better. For this specific section, let's assume that every single border of any cell that is between 2 hexominos folds 90 degrees, and let's see what shapes we get. Well, firstly, any hexomino that contains an O tetramino is physically impossible to fold without either bending one of the cells or space-time reality itself. That means these 8 hexominos are completely unable to fold whatsoever. When you try to fold them, they just become completely incomprehensible shapes. The only way you would be able to fold them would be to cut one of these 4 sides and have the 2 cells whose borders you cut overlap, but even then, they clearly don't make cubes, so we can completely discard this. For 2 of the hexominos, when you fold each edge, they have 2 pairs of cells overlap. The long I creates this ring thing with 2 opposite sides not filled in, while uneven U has the 2 unfilled sides bordering each other. Next up, we have the largest category. 14 of the hexominos almost create a cube, but have 1 pair of cells that overlap, which makes their final creation this sort of open chest looking thing. You could probably store a marble in these. Out of the 14, 3 of them have that overlapped cell be the bottom one, and those are hook, polar bear, and bracket. The other 11 all have one of the sides overlapped. Then, the remaining 11 hexominos do all form valid cubes. You can see pretty easily for these 6 hexominos, if you have the I tetramino and 2 cells sticking out on either side, the I tetramino creates a ring, and then the other 2 cells cover each exposed half on either side of the ring. For these other 6 hexominos, it's a little bit harder to tell that they can create a valid cube, but I've come up with an easy to memorize cheat to tell if a hexomino is a valid cube net. When we look at all of the hexominos that do not form valid cube nets, almost all of them contain at least one of 3 pentominos. The I pentomino, which is in these 4 hexominos, the U pentomino, which is in these 6 hexominos, and the V pentomino, which is in these 6 hexominos. In fact, we can see that the 2 hexominos that have 2 overlapped cells both contain 2 instances of band pentominos, as long I has 2 I's and uneven U has a U and a V. For each of these hexominos, you'll also always be able to tell which 2 cells overlap, as in all 3 cases of U, V, and I, it's the cells on the ends of that pentomino that overlap. If a hexomino contains the U, V, or I pentomino, then it cannot create a valid cube net. If it doesn't, then it most likely creates a valid cube net. There are 3 exceptions of hexominos that are not valid cube nets and do not contain U, V, or I pentominos, and those are bracket, golf club, and long N. In all 3 of these cases, the 2 overlapped cells are on the ends of each hexomino. So just remember UVI pentominos and these 3 hexominos, I guess. Since I went through all the effort of cutting these all out and making them into shapes, I thought that, of course I had to tape them into actual cubes. Or, well, I taped the 12 hexominos that form cubes into cubes, and the remaining hexominos that don't form cubes still got taped into whatever they create. I even did the fucked up hexominos that don't fold whatsoever, even though they look like complete garbage, but honestly, being an eldritch monster isn't so bad. Well, that's all the hexomino facts I have. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Do not ask for hexomino facts. There are 108 of them. That sounds like absolute hell to compile. 35 hexominos was already enough. But yeah. Anyways, I also wanted to announce that I have a Tumblr now, so go follow that if you're interested. I don't really know how to use Tumblr, so we'll see how that goes. You can use it to ask me questions about anything though if you want, and I will probably use it just to post random stuff. I don't know. That's all though. See you later.
知道你自己煩，你一煩嘅結果變咗點咧？你係咁打俾姑姐，姑姐煩，拉黑咗你電話，電話唔聽你嘅，然之後仲要同我投訴，你叫我知道唔好成日打電話俾你，你翻學咪翻學咧，打俾姑姐做咩？姑姐嗰陣時間啱啱收工咋。姑姐嗰日炸嚟啊嘛，我咪同佢講嘅，姑姐炸嚟啊，話佢又係先打電話去啊。新年嗰陣時話應承咗，姑姐話唔舒服喎，應承咗話佢即係咁查，應承咗都照打，不停咁打俾人哋啊。
Okay, time to record a trailer. What's in this update? Oh.
They added me!
Oh, well, apparently I cost 500 Robux. No way they added a hot dog car for April Fool. So I've got to find 20 hot dogs around the map. I want to see what they look like. Oh my lord. What the hell is that? It's actually beautiful. Guys, they added me in the game. Comment W devs in the comments below. Okay, time to record a trailer.
来看这道题，说有一箱图书，小红拿走了1半多2本，小明拿走了剩下的1半多3本。那这时呢，箱子里还剩9本。问这箱图书啊，共有多少本？啊，你看有2个人，所以这道题我们画图应该画一个线段。
This girl lives in the snow every single day. She's tougher.
These are the top 5 of the biggest statues in the world. And
this is your gun if you scroll. This is your gun if you like. This is your gun if you comment. This is your gun if you rewatch the video. This is your gun if you like, comment. This is your gun if you scroll. This is your gun if you like. This is your gun if you comment. This is your gun if you rewatch the video. This is your gun if you like, comment. This is your gun if you scroll.
Just be bold and do it differently. In this bedroom.
If I say your birthday year, you're out. 0.1% win rate. Number 1, 1950. You're out. Number 2, 1957. Bye, buddy. Number 3, 1960. Scroll away. Number 4, 1972. See ya. Number 5, 1980. You're gone. Number 6, 1984. Click the plus sign if you're still here. Number 7, 1989. You're out. Number 8, 1995. Leave now. Number 9, 1999. I win. Number 10, 2000. Share with the first person that pops up when you click share. Number 11, 2002. Nope, goodbye. Number 12, 2005, you're toast. Number 13, 2007. Number 14, 2009, out. Number 15, 2010. Double tap if this isn't you. Number 16, 2012. Share this video and tag someone born after this year. Number 17, 2015. Sorry, you're done. Number 18, 2018. Too fresh, bye-bye. Comment win if you're still here. Number 19, 2020, out. Number 20, 2022. Save this video and flex in the comments.
Oh.
佢爸爸攞啲豉油嚟啊，睇下夠唔夠味先。咪要我睇下夠唔夠味先。夠啦，唔使落啊。喂，唔使攞豉油夠未？哇！我食個飯先，哇！嗰啲冬菇豬肉幾好味啊！ 飯。阿威威走飯。
寫住咗啊！好啲，都未開。
可能你冇嘅。冇電咪換電。Remote冇通電。三手。唔好裝到咁大碗啊！我寧願佢哋添多一碗啊！嗱，睇住呢個彈弓又係咁樣壓落去嘅，呢邊係負嚟嘅，呢邊係正嚟嘅，呢個係正，呢個係負 ，OK。哇！我講咗幾多次唔好裝咁大碗俾佢哋啊！啊，你行開，你行開，你行開。南哥你係咁，你又係咁。你一陣間你哋佢哋可以添飯㗎嘛？裝到咁大碗裝餸又裝唔到。你下一次再添啦。你有冇我數過4粒啫，4粒都可以咁多嘅。水落多咗咁大碗啲呀？冇啊，我唔敢落咁多水啊，因為我唔中意落多水㗎。佢攞匙俾佢啦。攞咗啦。咁喎。啊？你未食啊？喂喂，出嚟啱下台啊！我攞咗塊碗布俾你㗎啦。又唔下台啊？試下夠唔夠味？ 定位啊，純粹。中環嗰啲啊，有電車。7折。
哇！好龍華嘅汁。
哇！兩種馬飛有3蚊一盒喎。
咁難喎，澳洲貴過人啦。
銅鑼灣啊，都話啦。
咁唔得食街
哇！
嘛？
唔知。但係佢已經扮嚟㗎係嘛？哇！佢仲喺龍躉嗰啲啊，有係。都係一間，都係大約同一個。哇！咩？啲菜一擺喺落雪櫃咧就〜不過好甜喎。哇！喂，你第日老咗係咪咁樣啊？嚇？可唔可以變瘦啲啊？好論盡㗎咯，咁樣好似佢咁。食得滯咩？等個人5尾6尾。係咯。23個41尾喎。23個41尾喎，平均。哇！我哋幾個人話就俾應該唔正常喎，可能4、5個喎。
唔少喎呢度。
4個
成。
差唔多啦。哇咩？將佢啲糧咧倒晒落去個貓兜度，出邊個貓兜肉。攞龜龜而家食緊，我唔想買，掛晒落去。 跟住佢連埋啊嗰個兜咧拎埋俾阿衰老豆仔。哇！你唔好將我個貓粥擺埋落去我哋啲飯度喎，我啲飯碗度喎。係啊，擺埋一邊咯，另外分開洗喎先得。你個貓粥唔好撈埋落揼咗啲碗水一齊洗喎。因為啊，點解啊？你攞呢度刮啊！我呢度刮晒佢啲糧去嘅係啊，唔好撈嗰度㗎嘛。佢咪一啱唔滿嘅。我應該落咗好多冬菇水落去啦。你聞唔聞到冬菇味？有好多飯。邊個？哦，依個拎緊嘢應該奶俾佢食，小產中唔想食奶應該。唔係乾。啊！嗰啲菜水嗰啲汁咧，倒去前咧。係啊，唔好倒喺呢度。費事佢流成個盤度。然後要禮拜二先有攞啊！打時間啊！
佢唔係即係打時間㗎，你點啱佢呢個時間嘅？
哇！佢啱啲油。哇！你睇嗰啲個。包啊！有啲 pet friendly 嘅餐廳都得，就係個 rent 到期，個租到期，租日到期。我執筷子喎，丁打死。真打線，真打線今晚落鑊。呢個女人都唔係好老嘅，係啊。 你都快，你都佢25、28年。我都唔睇我呢兩個啦，好似係嘛？啱啱你分到佢啦？嚇？聽咩講？我錯啦。我哋分咗啦。我呢種啊？我開未打。226008號。你睇下佢哋嗰啲袋，哇！有啊。哇咩？啲餸佢哋自己搞掂嘛？一個負責抹台啊，一個就負責咩啊？做咩啊？你負責瞓覺啊？啊？咁即係。哇咩啊？呢隻係咩啊？哦。啊，食嗰個。咩？咁大個咧？係好勁喎！唔通係識佢？你師傅做咗幾年？你食麵包嗰時啊，一個荷包最平幾錢啊？你師傅做咗幾年？一個荷包幾錢咋？唔知。35蚊，30蚊。食波包嗰陣4毫紙一個，10蚊一個。再30倍，再20倍。 麵包鋪有得打印咩？
哦，有咖啡㗎。
早起身，夜收工。
好啊。
酒樓嗰啲啊都係㗎。
可能翻朝6房，夜晚出整。
真係唔係啦，6點你就上啊，咁晏。
唔係喎，可能
酒樓嗰啲
半夜3更到夜晚，即係全日無休。
3、4點翻到去準備好晒啲嘢，
炒啲餸啊。
你酒樓有啲開11點嗰啲咧，就好啲7點鐘都翻到去準備好晒啲嘢，先定晒啲嘢。如果唔係話酒樓開早嘅話咧，仲死。
即係全日無休。
唔
係整麵包嗰啲咧，就要凌晨2點起身。係啦，凌晨2點起身搓飯。等你整到咁上下啦，搓好晒啲粉啊，整好晒咧，梗係整埋，都已經3、4點。跟住你就可以瞓覺啦。瞓到咁上下咧，就到晏晝嗰場啦，整蛋撻啊嗰啲啦。因為你要猜啲蛋撻底啊、打蛋撻啊嗰啲啊、焗蛋撻啊嗰啲茄哩呱啦嘢啦。因為嗰啲你嗰啲粉咧要猜好咗，然之後要發酵噶嘛，要發酵㗎，要發酵先可以整㗎，明白知唔知？如果唔係咧，上次阿 Sam 哥整過俾你食嗰啲麵包啊，全部都係阿 Sam 哥做翻晏晝嘅。
唔使啊，你中意做咩啊？咪食咯。
我攞時間攞啲嘢掛住咁食好啦。喂，你準備買菜啊？有冇飯煮飯菜做啊？你個杯啊？買乾淨未？ 哇，打包去等耐，打包去等耐。